good, y'all? I have a Trauma Speaks video coming for you right now. I'm not gonna even tell you about it. Just get into the video.
All right. Welcome to Trauma Speaks. I want to thank you all for coming on here today. I appreciate you so much. It means the world to me. Thank you to everyone. I'm gonna do an introduction. So, can couple one introduce themselves and how long you guys been together?
Yeah. My name's Valeska.
My name is Glenn.
And we've been together 3.5 years.
Awesome. Couple two.
My name is Lay.
My name is Veron.
And we've been together for about 3.5 years as well.
Okay, perfect. My name is Jamina as a host.
My name is Donzel.
And we've been together 4 years. So we're gonna get to the discussion.
You know,
so black love,
right?
That's beautiful. That is so beautiful. It's very rare to see now, so I appreciate again for you guys coming on here. All right, I'll kind of do like an icebreaker. So, what is one goal that you want to achieve this year as a couple? Anyone can start.
Well, I would say for us personally, we're both we're trying to get a house. So we're in the process of that. We've been, talking to our loan officer and like doing everything we can to make sure that by April, May, we close out on a house. So that's like one of our biggest goals as a couple together, like, doing something for the both of us. So.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I would say along the same lines, honestly. Really, as a couple together, focusing on remaining disciplined in our finances, investing. That's a big thing right now for us, investing financially as well as other areas in our life, including our physical health, again, financial, spiritual. So I would say overall this year, really investing in our relationship and in the financial capacity is top priority. And at the same time, home ownership, working towards that.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. I would say the same thing, finding that financial stability to be able to move out and, get our own place, and health and love, ending love during this year, because, quarantine shows that's a very testing time. And so just strengthen our relationship this year. So yes, that is one thing or a couple things for us. So I'm going to dive into the questions. It's going to be a discussion. It's okay to battle. Hopefully this conversation brings everybody close together, understand each other's points, because I know as men, you guys might get along, women will get along, or vice versa. But seeing different perspectives is very important, especially on this channel, and being a safe space for people to come and be like, okay, I can watch this video with my spouse and see how to do things better. So, all right. The first question is a little hard. So, how has your parents influenced your personal relationship? Your parents' relationship influence your own right now? Take your time to think about it. It's a hard question.
Yeah. Parents' relationship. Go ahead.
I definitely feel like that's something we discuss often, that we find that our upbringings, or not just upbringing, but our relationships with our family members, our parents, have substantially influenced and informed who we are today and how we approach different scenarios or different situations, and just how we just approach things overall. I think the first thing that I think of is just thinking about how, one, we just discussed that a lot. And wow, that's a deep question. And just how there are just really great attributes as well as challenging attributes that have influenced who we are from our family and our parents. But yeah, it's kind of the immediate thought.
I just want to remind the audience that you guys weren't prepared with these questions, so it's a little harder. And that's the point, though. I want it to be real. You know, you're giving your perspective and not trying to be like, oh, I'm gonna critique this question, you know, and trying to make it. I wanted it to be real because you guys are real. You're in a real relationship, and oftentimes social media makes us do otherwise. So that's important that I gave it to you raw. That's why I didn't give you guys the questions. So sorry if it throws you off guard, but that's the truth, right?
I would say for me, at the beginning of our relationship, like one thing that I had to really get used to was when you're in a relationship, it becomes a partnership. And so like I was so used to pretty much being independent just because that's the way my mom was, like regardless if she had someone there or not, she was very independent. And so like, you know, like that's what I was used to, like doing things, like not waiting for someone to do it for me or like, you know, and I feel like within our relationship I've grown and I've like, you know, kind of like processed it differently because it's like, okay, well, he's a man, he wants to step up, he wants to do this, you know, he wants to, like, we're in a partnership. No, it's not like I'm by myself anymore. So it's like, you know, I think just seeing, you know, my mother like really just work hard and having 4 kids and being able to, you know, get things done with or without, that was kind of like my, you know, how I came off like before our relationship. But within our relationship I definitely feel like you know, being able to be like, okay, well, you got this, I got that, you know, and kind of drifting away from that complete independence kind of I feel like strengthen our relationship and like continue to help us grow. So
Perfect. Do you want to answer? Oh, some men want to answer. You don't have to answer every question. Like if you want to pass on a question, you can as well. Do you want to answer?
You go ahead and then
I'll. As for me, like almost like Talele, seeing, you know, your mom being independent and working like by herself and doing everything on her own, that's what you have as an expectation. Or like in the Black culture, you typically don't see Black couples being married. That's a huge one. And so my parents aren't together. And so seeing that, I'm like, okay, that's how things are supposed to be until I got older. And I'm like, oh, well, that's their relationship and that's not mine. So seeing that, I think trying to break that barrier.
no, for sure. I definitely agree. Yeah. And not really knowing what, like, you know, same thing with me, like my parents being divorced at a very young age. And yet, like, you know, my mom was married for a long time, but like when it's harder when you don't come from like a health, you know, like when it's not like a healthy like marriage or healthy relationship that you've seen. So it's kind of like, how do you know what to do or how to handle certain situations or like, you know, how a healthy marriage would work or, you know, like, so I mean, I definitely agree with you. Like it's like it's kind of harder when you don't have that example sometimes because it's like, you know, certain things you just are like, okay, well, how do I handle this? Or like, you know, I don't know. It's just a little bit different.
Or what if you had that example, and this isn't for me, this is just hypothetically, you had that example, let's say you were in a union growing up, but they kept certain things from you, or you didn't see them ever discuss financial matters or ever see them argue or be affectionate. Because I think, too, we have to remember that just because two parents are together, that didn't mean that they always set the example either. It could have been an entirely different example, which I would love for folks to speak on different things too. But I think too that there can always be that union in the home, but then especially in Black and brown homes, it's you stay out of grown folks' business or things get swept under the rug. So we're never included in those. I don't want to say you're not included in those conversations, but you just don't see them because a lot of Black and brown homes operate on you just this ain't for kids' business, so you don't need to see those things. So,
Mhm.
you know, I don't know where I was going with that. I just kind of thought about that. Like, yeah.
I agree. It's like, what's the model? Like, what do I, what do I have? What's the model? Especially if you don't see it, especially the affection. And I think the affection is like the top two, like, not receiving that affection from the parents. So like, it's like, how can I show affection to you if I've never was taught how to show affection? So I agree. Any other guys?
Going back to what you guys said, you and Lay, about how like growing up in a household where your parent, like my mom was really strict. My dad was kind of like the more calm one. So I got more of her personality. Like she pretty much taught me and my brothers to always be independent. So when me and her started dating, it was really hard to kind of like be vulnerable at times because it's just like, I don't need you to do this, or I don't need you to do that. I don't need you to watch out for me. And she couldn't understand why. And then when we had a real conversation, it was just like, oh, like, I understand now because, you get that from your mom. Because I explained to her that's how she raised me to be. So sometimes I would say my trying to show support to her was how my mom showed support to me, just being stern and being tough, and all that, being emotional or crying just wasn't, necessary in the household. And it was just like, just suck it up and just move on. And that's kind of how I am with her. And I'm, working on that. It's still a work in progress, but we've gotten better. Gotten better.
Snap, snap.
You know what I'm saying?
Snap.
Yeah, like for me growing up, I grew up with both my parents in the household, but they got divorced later on, sometime after I graduated from school. And there were multiple things that I'm like reflecting back and seeing like little pieces and how to add it to my relationship now, what not to add to the relationship. And yeah, it's just a combination of little things and getting those remnants to figure out how it applies to this relationship. And yeah, I'll say one of the biggest things I definitely take away from my parents, they definitely influenced me on is communication. Communication, is always something that you want to be upon, and whether you see eye to eye or not, you need to let your partner know where you stand on things, and if they like it, they do. If they don't, you have to, try to figure something out. But at the end of the day, you know where each other stand. So that's a huge influence my parents had. Very, very old school in a certain type of way, as like not really showing you everything that goes on, but still as a kid, you feel the energy that they give off at certain times. So through the good and bad, just communication.
That's very interesting that you said that, because I know, like you said, old school, and I noticed like even with young parents that are Black, they have an old school mentality. And I just see that correlation. Like I know a lot of my family is old school, and I don't know. That is just interesting that you said that. So, you want to say something?
I mean, I guess the guys had already said everything. So I just to put like this, like, my experiences with my parents and everything was kind of different from everybody else's. So the select few things that I did learn was to first, communicate, and I also learned things to not to do, like, some things that, that my mom always came to me and told me about that my dad was doing that that she didn't like, or, my dad would tell me stuff that my mom was doing that he didn't like, it was kind of like I learned from the both. Not to say it was negative, it's a positive in everything, but like, you learn what not to do, how to do things better, from the first time that you did it, by, your parents leading by example, or, not even from your parents, you can learn from somebody else, like I said, my experiences is different from everybody else's. So, yeah, the guys had already said everything that I wanted to say. So yeah, like,
I'll come for you next time. I got you.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
That's great.
I love what you just said about everything. Yeah, that resonates with me so much in terms of my parents taught me, and actually they may have taught me more things not to do than what to do. And just thinking about my birth parents, they're this is not to reduce them by any means. This is just merely an observation and my own testimony, but my birth parents are pretty much just that. I mean, my birth father never grew up with him, actually never knew him up until more recent years, and that's through Facebook, right? That's through the internet. And then due to different circumstances with my mother, I never had the opportunity to grow up with her. And so thinking about my birth parents and just certain circumstances, actually they taught me more things that I would not ever want to do, or behaviors I want to stay away from if I can to the best of my ability. But that part of them teaching things not to do resonates so much, and it's very interesting because parents can show you things through like they can lead by example, they can tell you different things, but at the same time, those behaviors and what they're telling you are also informing like what not to do. And I think that's a narrative that we don't hear as often. It's, yeah, my parents taught me this or family taught me that, but in those particular actions or how they approached a situation or certain experiences also taught me, hell, I don't want to take that same step that you took, or I don't want my life to, no shade, I just don't want it to look like that. You taught me actually to advocate for myself more, or whatever it might be. But it's a real narrative right there.
Yeah, and I definitely think you make a good point. And you even, I feel like, you know, even without us even having children, you look and you're like, I don't want to raise my children that way, or I don't want, you know what I mean? Like it just, you start thinking about the future and you're like, okay, this is what I don't want to do, or how I you know want to be as a parent, or so yeah, no, you definitely touched on a really good point.
You definitely did with that, especially you were talking about your birth parents, to mention that everybody's not raised by their actual birth parents, you know, like it's a person who raised you, I think is considered a parent, you know, that show you, navigate the way for you. So that's important that you brought that up as well. So anybody else want to add on to that? No? How has quarantine affected your relationship? Yes.
Okay, I'll say that for me, honestly, it made it better because, like, I feel like now, since it's not, everything is happening and we don't really be, far apart that often. It's more like, we get to talk more about, how we feel about, what's really bothering us. Sometimes I'll sit down, I can tell her something bothering her and she don't really want to tell me, and I have to push it out. I get that time to do that. Like I don't sometimes, like most times it's like, like you don't like, if you always on the go, you don't get to sit there and have that, one-to-one conversation and that heart-to-heart conversation, and it really, takes and it goes somewhere, like y'all can have a conversation, but like to have a conversation about, what's deeper, what's inside, what makes you angry, what makes you sad, what makes you happy, like that is really like something that's like, I take heed to, because it's like I said, you don't really get to do that. Ever since, COVID happened, everybody slowed down, everybody's calmed down, everybody's at the house, everybody, more family oriented. And I feel like, people was getting away from that because they had such a busy life and such, so much to do. And yeah, like, I feel like, quarantine has helped, Of course you have your downtime, you have your bad times and stuff, but it's always, I always try to take any bad situation and make it a good situation. That was my spiel.
I agree. Yeah.
Go ahead. With me and her, I think it's like I said, what Ron said, like it's improved a lot because before quarantine, it was like we started to communicate less, and it was just always about work this, work that, this, school that, and we would just both get so frustrated with each other where it was just like, okay, why are we really arguing? Like, why are these like what's intensifying it? And when we actually sat down and we're just like, these are just minor problems that we can just fix and have a conversation about. And then once quarantine happened, COVID happened and we were quarantined. In the beginning, it was kind of rough because it was just like, everything pretty much stopped. People were losing their jobs. We're worried about, okay, what if we get laid off and all these different things. Then as it went on, we both started to like really get closer. We started to talk about, like Ron said, we started to just sit down and talk about where we're trying to go. When are we trying to move? When are we trying to get a house? When's the perfect time to start a family? And just being around family more, because I felt like me and her both were at each other's heads at one point because we were starting to become depressed, and it was starting to really affect our health, just everything. So yeah, and now we're here, and now
We're good. We're good. We're good.
Hey.
Like love.
That's great. Anyone can go. Like, so you don't have to answer questions if you don't want to.
I'll just say, yeah, it just helped us be a lot deeper, I guess, more holistic in our views of each other, and who we really are. Little things that may make us anxious, where we see ourselves going. It just really, really deepened the relationship. I don't think there's ever been a time like this where couples have been really I guess really forced to learn each other, because we're always up and to go, and this is the first time everyone had to sit down, stay in the house, and look at each other 24/7.
So we're thinking about how our relationship has contributed to possibly losing ourselves or elements of who we are.
Right.
Whoa, that's deep, y'all. That's deep.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a deep.
Yeah, we can get back to that question too. I can ask another question as well if you like.
I would say that I don't know. I wouldn't consider it losing myself, but I think that sometimes we get a little comfortable, and like I feel like before he met me, it was always like dressing up, like hair done, nails done, everything, and it's like you get comfortable. So you're like, not all the time do I, you don't think like all the time that I need to get my nails done. I have to, get dressed up and stuff like that. So you get a little bit
shave my legs, damn it.
All right, exactly. Exactly. So things like that. And then I will also say for me, like spending less time with friends, like before the whole COVID thing, but just like spending less time with friends because I'm in a relationship now. So it's like, sometimes it kind of gets hard, especially if you have those friends that are single and then you have those friends that are in relationships. So it's like, how do you, like, okay, if I'm gonna go on a date with my single friend, then it's just me and her. Or if, we're with the couples and it's us as a couple. So it's kind of, hard, especially when you're used to like, okay, we're always together, like pretty much connected by the hip. So it's like, I think that's kind of like, I wouldn't say like losing myself, but the things that I've changed with being in a relationship.
Slay girl, that part we're gonna have to bookmark that one. The friends and the couple friends, and I mean, swear we were just talking about that this morning. Like finding time for just friends and just folks who were in our lives prior to us together. We gotta table that one, y'all. But in terms of, I have to agree. I wouldn't say it's losing myself. It is just a different version of who I am. Losing, I feel like, insinuates a part that I'll never get back. Or it insinuates like I'm never gonna see that part or version of Valeska again. I think instead it's like trying to just find a balance of who was I prior to my relationship, and how do I make room for that now in my relationship? That's the biggest, I think that's the biggest thing. It's how do I continue to evolve as an individual and contribute that individual to my relationship, and how do we evolve as a union? And I think that balancing act, or it can be challenging. That, I think that's the part that it's like, how do I still make sure that I go to the coffee shop and take walks that I really enjoy by myself, and read a book, or just different elements or things that I found that I did prior to my relationship, and make sure I'm still doing that to pour into myself and my own cup, so I can and still give in the capacity of my relationship. So I'd say, how has the relationship contributed to losing? I think it's like anything new in life, you're figuring out how to bring it into your life. How do you weave it into the fabric of who you are already? It's how am I weaving this relationship into who I am today? And that person's ever evolving. So I think the biggest thing is being okay with, you might not be that version of who you were just 2 years ago, 3 years ago, hell, fucking 10 years ago. Like that version of who you are is just gonna, it's gonna change, and that's okay, because you're a culmination of everything and everyone you touch. And so I think the biggest thing is being okay with those changes. But it's hard because you start to feel sad, or you're like, I don't know who I am anymore, or you're kind of questioning it. Because I think we both found ourselves like questioning, well, or even being honest of like, Glenn loves to listen to music, y'all. He's a record collector, everything vinyl, all things music, right? And so I would say, well, maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, he was real transparent of like, Valeska, I need time to listen to my music. Like, you know, I feel like I'm losing that part of myself. And so I think it's, he wasn't losing it, it just wasn't becoming a priority anymore. And so I'm glad, and I think it's just really finding how to find that balance. And then you're going to learn new parts of yourself, because I think your partner holds that mirror up as like, hey, you actually have other interests. Hey, you actually have other skills and strengths. And so I think you learn new things about yourself too. Of like, damn, I actually didn't even know I was into this thing until you presented it to me. So
Snap, snap.
Yeah. Okay.
oh.
Let's just say. I want to say that, going back to Lay's and V's point, I wouldn't say I really lost myself. I want to say I pretty much gained Donzel back in a way, because when she met me, I was at a very, very low point in my life, and I didn't know how I was going to get back to Donzel. So it took me a while, and then she comes and, you know, she started, first of all, reading me, and and I was just shocked. I was just like, well, how did you see all this? And she was just like, just pay attention. And I was just like, wow. So then once she started to really know my personality, she was just like, you know what? I think you should do this, or I think you should do that, or maybe you should try that. And I'm me being in my comfortability. Oh God, comfort. I keep messing up. Okay. Being comfortable in what I was doing, and I was, scared to do stuff that she's seen that I can do. And as it, years went by, I started to do things out of my comfort zone without feeling a way about it or feeling scared to do it. And she just pushed me in a way that no one has ever pushed me. So it was just like, wow. Sometimes I would get upset because her way of kind of like pushing me is more like it's frustrating for her. So once I do it, she's kind of like, I told you. And then once I start to do it, I start to realize like, wow, like she really sees something. And then I had to see it for myself. And I started seeing it for myself. And I was just like, wow, like, I really gained a lot. So I want to thank you for that. Thank you for that. Sorry, that's not a sentimental moment. So let's not do that. I'm a G.
It's okay.
Tissue down there?
Huh?
Need some tissue?
Oh, it was a sentimental moment. Hey.
Nah, but I feel you. I feel what you were saying though.
That's
Like,
that guard doesn't being let down because trust me, it'd have been the other side of that. That's what I'm saying. Like another side of me that I wouldn't let her in. Like I wouldn't let her in on that side of me. So now I have a tough exterior. So she's like, I need to break that wall down. So that's what she's been doing. And that's why I'm more, like less, guarded.
I feel you though. I feel you on that one. Like for me, it's more like you were saying, I gained more myself because like it was some habits that I had that, she told me that she felt like it was what was best for me to do was, either cut back or stop, all at once. And at first, I'm like, bro, like, what's the purpose? What's the point? Like, why are you trying to change me and stuff? Not, necessarily change me, but she saw that I could be healthier, I could be better, I could be just a better overall person. And, I wouldn't say me not doing those things anymore didn't make me less of a person, made me lose myself. It's just that, like it's time to change. Like everybody should change. Everybody should want change. Everybody should want more, different, but like you were saying, man, I felt the same way. It felt strange. I didn't like it. I was fighting against it, and now, flourishing, we're here. And it's just, like it happened for the better. Like first, like you say, you didn't see it, couldn't really see it, but now that it's here, it's happening, it's all going well. So I feel you, Donzel.
Mm-hmm. Cheers to elevation.
Right. That was beautiful. Wow, good job. Here's another toughie. You ready? What is unconditional love? And what does that look like? We can also explain like what the difference is between being in love and loving someone.
You asking for the definition, or are you just asking
for just what your perspective is, like what you think unconditional love is to you?
Yeah. Okay.
For me, unconditional love is making sacrifices. Like sometimes you have to make a sacrifice for the person, even if like you're like, I don't want to do this, but that's when the love shows. Like you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this for you anyways, because even though it's not in me, I love you and I'm gonna make that sacrifice. It also is like loving every part of the person, the bad, the good, and loving all their flaws and insecurities, because we tend to want the perfect part but not love the insecurities. And patience. I think it's a lot of patience, because we tend to, there's two different personalities. And so we try to force our own and be like, okay, you need to do this, but not learning, okay, maybe this person needs patience, and timing. And just really just understanding where the person, is coming from. I think that's big. So.
No, I definitely agree. When I think of unconditional love, and just love, like being in love and loving someone is very, very different. You can love someone. I mean, you know, you can want the best. You can, you know, it's just like, you know, your sister and loving your brother, and, you know, but being in love with someone, it's hard to put it in words because it's like, it's a feeling, you know, when you really in love with someone. And like, you know, I think within like maybe the second, maybe, I don't know. I would say probably within like the end of our first year, like I had a moment where I was just like, oh my God, like I love him. Like, you know, like I can't see myself without him, you know? Like, and then you start thinking like, what would you do without this person? You know what I mean? And it's like, it's different. Like, I don't know, like I just really can't put it in words, but I definitely feel like being in love with someone is definitely a feeling. And you just know.
Okay, well, you got everybody. Ooh, man, we was all like, ooh. That touched the soul.
I'm smiling. No.
Girl, smiling.
I know.
No, but to piggyback off what she was saying, like she said, like you can as they would say back in the South, you can be in lust of somebody, but like to be in love with somebody is a total different thing. Like, and it's not even only because of the physical, you know, sexual. It's not only because of that. It's because, you know, the mental stimulations that they give you, the conversations that y'all have, the, you know, just the sit downs, like that one-on-one, like I was talking about earlier. The one-on-ones is the main thing that like how you like. I can't even explain it. It's like
the little things. It's
really the little small things that
things.
really like I always hear this, you know, from my mom and my aunties and them. It's just the small things that matter, and it's really true. Like the small things does really matter. It's not like, you know, always buying gifts. It's not all, you know, always about going out to eat. It's not always about, you know, doing all stuff like that. Like go on a picnic, you know, simple things like eat a sandwich together. Like seriously, me and Lay, bro, like when I first moved out here, we went to the beach in Richmond and we ate a sandwich, and I felt like we was at a 5-star hotel, 5-star. We watched the sunset, we watched everything, and it was just like, bro, like, and I just looked at her and I'm just like, I love you, bro. And like to this day, I go back and look at them same pictures, and it's like I go back to the moment, like, and I feel like that right there is like when you can have a moment and take a picture of it and you can go back to that exact moment and you can relive everything, bro. Like, it's just like, yeah, bro, like I'm really in love. Like I really care about this person. Like I really, like she said, we're attached at the hip. Like I can't even see myself without her. Like I tell her this all the time. Like it's I tell her this all the time. Like, you know, I've had girlfriends in the past, like, but none of them has showed me like the type of love and the patience that she has showed me. Like, you know, like it takes a different type of woman to, you know, for you to be with me from when I ain't have nothing, like literally not a damn thing to my name, and for you to still be here. And not only that, like, you know, you're beautiful, you know, you can choose any man in this world, any man, but you chose me. So of course I'm gonna do my part and, you know, and show you that unconditional love, you know? Like that's just 100. That's just the truth.
Thank
like,
y'all.
Right.
Man.
Good. Okay, Ron, I see you. Okay.
I want to go piggyback off of that. I agree with them. I want to say it just takes a really strong person to deal with that person, because again, we all have a past. We all have been through things that wasn't the best. And for me, it was just like you said, Ron, like being with all these different women in the past who like used, abused, and just like pretty much like down talked you and just like made you feel like less than a person. You know, your confidence is like low. And then when you have somebody, like you said, in your life that comes in your life and you're doubting yourself and she's just saying like, no, I see different in you. Like, I know that you can do this. I know you're going to be successful. Like, I can see you doing this, and I can definitely see you doing that. I can see us having a family. I can see us doing this. and that and the fifth. And I tried my hardest to push her away, just unintentionally just push her away because I felt like that was something I was looking for, and I was running from her you know, for a long time because I felt like this is too good to be true. Um, but she stuck with me, and I think it takes a strong Black woman to stick with someone who's constantly just pushing them away and just there for them and know their worth and know what they are going to become in the future. So appreciate you.
Yeah, Brody.
You know. Man, I take deep breath.
I think I need a shot on that. Excuse me, y'all. I know y'all got y'all cups and all, but I'm drinking straight from the bottle.
Doing that.
Hello. Eloquently and you know, to sacrifices, to seeing the greater good in them and pushing them, ultimately investing in their partner. I couldn't agree with all y'all more. Like, I really do believe that unconditional love is saying, I am committed to every part of who you are. I am committed to every capacity, all of who you are, the intricate details, the shadows, the bones, the parts of you that the world wants to cast out, the parts of you that society wants to marginalize or underrepresent. Like, I see you, I hear you, I'm invested in you, I want all of you, and I want to be a part of all of who you are, is what I believe unconditional love is. And to want to grow with that person and really support them. And again, just overall invest in who they are. And I think to add to that part of unconditional love, it's also, I'm not going to keep track of all your wrongs. I'm not going to punish you for certain things. I'm gonna hold you accountable, but I'm not gonna punish you for wrongs. I'm not gonna keep tabs of this is what you did to me here and then. It's continuous forgiveness. It's continuous grace. It's continuous mercy. It's just all around forgiving constantly. I think that's also a part of unconditional love. Like, you can do no wrong, or not you can do no wrong, but you may do wrong. I'm gonna hold you accountable, but I love you and I forgive you. And let's work on this next time, or next time. Continuous coaching. It's continuous investment in a nutshell of who that person is, and just holding that mirror. Like, I'm gonna tell you the shit that no one else might tell you, or that you don't want to hear, but again, this is for your greater good, because I see who you have the potential to be. Forget what the world has to tell you, forget what the naysayers have to tell you, forget anybody else. This is what I see, and I'm going to pour into who you are all around.
Yeah, pour into you, regardless of how it may make you feel, and just, give it your all. It's like loving yourself outside of yourself, I guess. Loving someone as much as you love yourself, and willing to do everything that you can to, help that person get to where.
Okay, perfect. So this last question, what is the most difficult lesson you have learned with your significant other?
What's what?
The most difficult lesson you have learned with your significant other?
Nah, but yeah, like what Donzel was saying, it feels good to, to talk, even though it was kind of jittery at first for me, because it's like first time experience with this whole Zoom thing, and I'm a little old.
Oh my God.
So but it just feels good to have
The most difficult lesson I have learned is that I have a lot of shit to work on. Okay, like I knew I had a lot to work on before our relationship, but our relationship has taught me like I got a lot more. There's certain things I need to unpack, address, and not necessarily not just for our relationship, but for myself. Whether it's maternity issues, paternity, daddy issues, neglect, whatever trauma it is, it's, hey, I need to work on this, not just for our relationship, more importantly for myself, so I can show up for our relationship to the best of the ability, to the most healthy manner possible. No relationship is perfect. And I believe wholeheartedly our trauma is something, childhood trauma or any kind of trauma you've had throughout life, you're going to be unpacking it for quite some time, perhaps for the rest of your life. But it has taught me that I have some work to do, and it's going to require my full participation in it. No one else can do it for me. It's going to require active work. And I need my partner to be patient with me and to understand that I am working through these things. I am actively addressing them. I'm going to have my days where, aren't going to be the best. But yeah, I think the biggest thing what was the question? The biggest thing that my relationship has taught me?
Yeah, the most difficult thing that you're
Most difficult thing, yeah. I would say the most difficult thing is that, I just have some work to do. I knew I wasn't perfect, far from it, but it's like, oh, okay, I didn't think that would happen. Well, not that I didn't think, but what happened to me at 9 years old is resurrecting and it's coming up right now, and I need to do the work. So I would say the most difficult thing has just been recognizing that there is some stuff that needs to be addressed sooner than later.
Beautiful.
I mean, I would say one of the most. I don't even know if it's so much as difficult. I don't see it as difficult, but it is a challenging task. It's just dealing with communicating my feelings, being more in touch with my feelings, and just being truthful about them. There could be times I think I'm good on the outside, good on the inside, but if I actually dig deep, I know it's something there, and then even if I get to the point of discovery, I just can't keep that to myself, because that just builds another layer, and it just goes deeper once again. So it's just being in tune with my feelings and being able to, just communicate them, even if I don't have it all the way there.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I agree with you guys. Like, I feel the same way. Like, it's a lot of suppressed memories that I feel like, like what V was saying, it's coming back, and it's not always, good things. It's sometimes like I'll be in a good mood, and then like a memory just come across my mind, and it's just like that. I'll go from being happy, eager to just like fuck everybody, bro. Like I don't want to listen to nobody. I don't want to talk to nobody. Get away from me. Like, even sometimes I take it out on her, and I have to learn how to, take that stuff back and not do that, and not, take it out on her. And sometimes come to her and be like, Lay, look, this is the problem. And I, sometimes I feel like I can't tell her that, because in my mind, she don't understand, but all along she may understand everything that I'm going through. You know, even though the situation is different from hers, she may have some type of recollection of what I'm going through. Like she might understand some way, somehow, like, you know, you never know, you know? So it's like, for me, I have to work on myself, you know, it's more me than anything, like, you know, cause like I said, like, you know, it could be split second, I'll be doing good. And then the next minute it's just like, bro, like I don't, I'm not feeling the whole situation. I will purposely, like, we'll be at a function with her family and I will purposely like just keep myself distant from everybody just because like I know I'm not right in my own mind. And somebody might say something to me, all in jokes, all in fun, and I might take it the wrong way. So for me to avoid that, I'll just, you know, stay, you know, by myself, you know, stay in the car, smoke, or do whatever I can to keep myself in that mellow tone, because I don't like it when I, you know, when I'm not mellow, when I'm not happy, when I'm not excited, you know, when she's not laughing with me, I don't like it, you know, stuff like that. So I feel like it starts with me, you know, it's not, I can't point the elbow at her and be like, you know, well, she did this when I know I have issues. Like what V said, I know I have issues of my own that I need to work on. So yeah, you know, I totally agree with both of you guys, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I agree as well. I think for the most part, for both of us, it's more about like, you know, our vulnerability. And, you know, for me, like, you know, when he was saying like with him, like when he become distant, or like me learning, like, you know, that space that he needs is just that space that he needs for that time because he's going through something. And sometimes I'm just like, you know, well, what can I do to help? Like always kind of like, you know, oh, are you upset? You know, and I'm trying to like, I have to like sometimes like I have to learn that sometimes he's not angry with me, or you know what I mean? It's just him dealing with his own issues that he has to, you know, handle on his own sometimes. And no matter what, I'm gonna always be there. But sometimes you just have to let a person, you know, have that space, calm down, you know, mellow themselves out. And I think for me, it's just like, you know, the most difficult lesson is just like, you know, not taking things personal. And, you know, just thinking of it as him just taking that time for him, or like me just taking that time for me, and not taking it so personal, or like getting angry or upset about it. And just for him, like, you know, he like you know, you guys were saying, you and we were saying, like, you know, things from the past of like, you know, when you were growing up, or things that had happened, like, you know, there's things that, you know, we all go through, issues we're still trying to fix to this day. But it's like, you know, me as well, like, you know, managing my frustration or my anger in a different way, you know, and not taking it, him not taking it out on me, because at the end of the day, we're not frustrated with each other. It's, you know, a bigger issue. And so I think for the most part, it's just, you know, our vulnerability, like communication, and, you know, just being able to give each other that space. Because at the end of the day, yeah, you're in a relationship, but sometimes you need it, you know, just that space to think. And yeah.
Beautiful.
Pretty much summed it all up. Pretty much just working on how to communicate when you just need that space and when you're just not all right, because your spouse just doesn't know when, like Ron said, like sometimes she'll be talking to me 10 minutes and then like 20 minutes later, I'm just like getting slick with her. She's like, whoa, like I just need to take a step back because I know how he is. So she's, before she didn't understand, she would get all sad and saying like, well, what can I do? And she'll do anything to like make me happy. And I'm just telling her like, no, I need you to just like give me this time and then I will talk to you when I'm ready to do so. So like Cito said too, like, you know, just being able to be vulnerable, because that's kind of hard still for me to do. That's still a work in progress for me. And yeah, just being able to let your spouse know what's going on, and yeah, work on that. Yeah.
The most difficult lesson I have to learn is self-love, because you can't love someone else if you don't love yourself.
Kind of low a little bit.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, I said the most difficult lesson is that self-love, because you can't love someone else if you don't know how to love yourself. If you don't know what you don't like, you do like, how are you going to love somebody else? And I think that was my difficult lesson, is trying to pace myself, not to put myself aside, because I can't lift someone else up if I'm down and low. And so trying to navigate that has been the most difficult lesson, loving myself unconditionally as well, to be able to love him all the way. So,
I like that shirt too, girl.
thank you. Thanks to my brother. Yeah, so my brother got me this shirt. But I just want to thank you guys so much for coming on here. I just want to say whoop whoop to the Black Man Outlet. I can't even talk to them.
Outlet. I got you.
Anyways, expressing themselves, because it's typical, like it's not a norm for Black men to express themselves. So I hope that for the Ben, it was a great outlet. Was it?
It was a little nerve-wracking because I feel like we each have like still like that guard up when it's like talking to, you know, people outside of us that we don't know and who's gonna, you know, watch this. So even in general, just talking about it is still tough, but I believe that we're all just working on it and we're gonna get better with it.
Beautiful.
We gotta speak up for the fellas now. Have an outlet and, you know, talk with you guys. It was a good conversation. Nice selective questions, Jamina. I really gotta, you know, give you the snap. You really got to the nerves. You really got down to the point. So anytime you have this, I'm ready. I'm gonna be ready.
Yeah.
I can see this point, you know.
Oh man, that's great.
It was fun too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you for coming on this channel. It means a lot to me, especially it's going to touch so many people, because there's not this space where people can be like, oh, I'm going to watch this real quick. So I appreciate it. That's why I created the channel, to get different perspectives on a whole wide topic. So thank you. Thank you so much.
I just want to toast to, you know, Black love, elevate.
Yes.
Marriage soon, you know, for everybody.
You said marriage.
Yeah, get the bottles up. You know what time it is. Yeah, bet that up.